Hello everybody, welcome along.
I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to Coventry instead. Well, I went to Gloucester, they sent me to Gloucester, didn't they?
Get the bird song on for you.
Nobody, not even thinking, oh well this woman lives in or near Banbury, we'll send her to the nearest one, which is Coventry. We'll just send her to the one furthest away, to Gloucester. When I get there, they kept me waiting for an hour. I never said anything.
You can just about make out my pencil lines if I
got up and asked her,
wibble it.
and she said, oh, you'll be next in. I said, that's not good enough. I said, I'm supposed to be in here an hour ago. She said, well, it can't be helped, she said. Right, go sit down, she said, you'll be the next one in. And then when I did get in there, these three women, they measure your eyes, and there's three of them with three different machines. One could have done it because
That's better.
and then you go in another room, you talk to the nurse and she does your blood pressure and all that sort of thing. And then you go in to see this young bloke who puts drops in your eyes. And he told me to open my eyes like that and put my head back.
Here we go.
Open both eyes like that. And he just shot the eye drops in like that, all over, right? And it was running down here. It was stinging like mad. So I went absolutely berserk at this point. I'd had enough. I said, what the hell are you doing? He said, well, you'll be alright. I said, they're stinging like mad. Yeah, they will do, he said. They'll go off in a couple of seconds. I said, well, have you got some more tissues? I said, it's all over my face. I said, that's not how you put eye drops in. Right, so I said, oh, you'll be fine. And he said, it's better than putting in eye drop. So
Just shoved it all in.
The doctor's next door to examine your eye, and he said, what makes you think you've got cataracts?
You're joking,
I don't think I've got them. I said, you're the one who's supposed to know whether I've got them or not.
How did you get referred to it? The optician?
I said, have I got cataracts? And he went, yeah. Oh, what a stupid question. How stupid can you get?
Well, clearly you don't just go on a day trip to go and get eye drops to check your cataracts that your optician's told you you've got. You don't go, oh, I fancy to see if I've got cataracts today. Let me have a day trip. Mad.
Your optician would have said that.
Yeah, the optician said I had cataracts.
I'll give you 10-15 minutes to draw it out.
It's worse. I said, the left one. He said, oh, you're right there. It is the left one.
So you're going to add ophthalmist on your CV now because you seem to know more than the optician.
In Coventry, and then I'll give Gloucester a bad report.
That's a bit bad. It's a long old trek as well.
So pathetic. And so, because it made it really late for us coming out, we didn't get up there till 5 o'clock. And it was pitch dark. And we got to come
Yeah. That's not fair. That's not a good. It's not a pleasant experience, is it? Right, I've angled my light so you should be able to see roughly my drawing.
Anywhere in Coventry would be to find that ring road.
Oh, that ring road's awful, isn't it? You have to just put your foot down and go for it on the ring road in Coventry. I've never seen it. Honestly, they go so fast. It's like, is it 3-4 lane ring road?
Yeah.
It just, honestly, I had to get to Coventry Town Centre. I was on a course, and they're just coming, and you just. I was on a course for a year or two there, and I had to literally. It took me a while to build my confidence up. The first 6 months I was petrified. It took me ages to just get on there, but at the end you just like floor it, shut your eyes, and hope for the best because they just go so fast. It's not pleasant.
It's 8:10 in the morning.
You might be all right. You'll probably miss a lot of the really heavy traffic. So I've chosen a random coloured paper today. Well, it's not random, actually.
Right. What do we want? Ultramarine?
Ultramarine, black and white. So both blues. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got... What have I got here? Cerulean.
You won't have any of the other yellow either, will you? I think. No, I think you haven't got the other yellow, have you? You've got Have you got any yellow? Got yellow ochre? I'm sure you had a lemon one before.
I didn't know. I don't know what I've done with it.
Oh, whatever. We'll give you some lemon.
Do I need this one? This.
The ochre one? No, you'll be all right. You've got a brown, haven't you? You've got a brown, and you've got the that red. That's black.
Oh, it's black. This brown and that red, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. And black and white.
And black and white.
And that's you sorted. So yeah, I've chosen this backing colour because when I was looking, it's taken me unusually a very long time to work out what colour, because I thought, do I want blue? And then I thought, no, because there's only the bit of blue that's in the sky. And then I thought, do I want green? And then it was like, well, which shade of green? Because there's lots of different things. And then I thought, do you know what? It will be a good lesson in complementary colours and complementary opposites. Because it's important to know. I'll have to shrink the screen again a little bit in the classroom so I can go to the next bit here. So this was a device used a lot, and it still is used by pastel artists and some painters. John Constable did something like this to a degree, but not to this level. So complementary colours, let me get a colour wheel up on the screen. Basically, a complementary colour is the colour that is opposite each other on the colour wheel. And I was having a discussion on an education forum where a teacher said, well, we'll just ditch the term complementary colours because they don't complement, but they do. When a complementary colour, which is a colour opposite each other on the colour wheel, when they're side by side, they look more vibrant. So yellow and purple next to each other look really, really vibrant. But when you mix them together, they go dull. So what we want is we want the greens to feel more vibrant, so we use a complementary colour opposite. So if you look, there's a lot of yellowy green in the picture. So a complementary opposite of yellowy green is a purpley red, which is what we've got. So it's a bit of science. So what will happen is that when we put our greens on, they'll look more vibrant because of the red underneath. So in landscape painting, John Constable, when he painted trees, he'd put blobs of red near the green to make the green stand out more. So yeah, that's a very basic.
Very clever how to work it out.
It is, and when you look at a basic colour wheel, the complementary opposites are just red and green, blue and orange, and yellow and purple. But when you look at a more complex colour wheel, which, I mean, this is not fully complex, but when you see it like this, where you've got the other tones in it, so you've got yellow, orange, orange, red, purple, red, purple, purple, blue, green, yellow. When you've got something more complex, you can actually see a bit easier. So if we were doing the sea, for example, which is a greeny blue, isn't it? So a seascape is a greeny blue. We'd use an orangey red instead. So we'd use something that would be that sort of colour, and that would make the sea stand out more. So you can just do red and green, but sometimes it's knowing which red and which green works. So for a yellow green, you want a purple red. There is a way you can work it out once you know the basic colour wheel of red, yellow and blue, purple and orange and green. You can work it out, but it's a bit complicated, and I think it's too much for a Wednesday morning. I nearly thought it was Thursday then. So Wednesday morning, isn't it? It is Wednesday. I'm not asking you because you came early, so you didn't even know what time it was. So it's Wednesday, and it's 10:40 in the morning. Oh dear me. So I've got both blues, both yellows, burnt sienna, cadmium red, black and white. So we use black and white a lot in gouache because it's a way of brightening and darkening tones. People ask me all the time, well, what is gouache? Why do you use it? for me, it's a nice mix between watercolours and acrylics, isn't it? Because you've got the softness of watercolour if you want it, but you've got the vibrancy of acrylics, but also, even when it's dry, you can blend it again, which I really like. Because the frustrating part about acrylics is that when it dries, that's it, isn't it? You can't do anything with it. But with gouache, you've got that little bit of something extra. And I don't do very many full-on landscapes in gouache. I was talking about this in the acrylic class yesterday. If it's A4 or smaller, I'll tend to use gouache, but if it's bigger than A4, I'll use acrylics. Because unless it's a commission or something, because acrylics are a bit cheaper, and you can cover a larger area quicker, whereas with these, when they're, you know, the artist quality tubes that I use are between £6 and £11 a tube. I don't want to do huge pieces with it unless I know I'm going to sell it or get the money for it. But for small ones, it's quite cute to do a few things in. I haven't picked out my brushes today. I tend to use small brushes with gouache as well. With acrylics, I use bigger ones, but go big. I picked up some nice big sheets of watercolour paper from a craft shop that was closing down, and I might do some big watercolours. I don't know, because I work in such a small confined area when I'm teaching. Sometimes it's nice to, I enjoy doing that sunset with the birch trees on, because that's nice and big. I had an easel out and I was with a knife. Oh, I loved it. I was like a real artist, absolutely. So we'll stick the sky on first. So I'm just going to wet my brush, go in with some white, and do you know what? I think I'm going to make a little bit of a mixture of both of those blues. A little bit, yeah, not much. A little bit of each blue and some white. Because we learnt, didn't we, last week, that they dry darker than the colour we put on. Which is not always easy to remember, I know. And too much water means that you'll end up just making really soft, wishy-washy paints. The difference is, I suppose, that the pigment in gouache is much, much heavier. So it doesn't, even if you were to do something wet in wet in gouache, it wouldn't spread in the same way that watercolour spreads, because it's a heavier pigment.
It is, isn't it?
And that, I think that's the level of chalk that's in it as well, because there's a lot of chalk in gouache, which is what makes it, well, look chalky, I suppose. I'm doing a bit blue, and then I will add white clouds around it. What I don't want to do, because we're using just card, I don't want to linger too long or paint over, because I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I overworked an area because it was wet. I didn't allow it to dry before I went back in with colour, and then that meant that it kept wearing away, and I don't want it to wear away. So I'm going to go with a bit of white around there. I'm going to miss roughly around where my tree is. So I'm just playing around with lighter tones. You can just about see through the tree. If you do dilute your white paint, you'll see the red card underneath, so it'll give us a bit of a pinky glow on the horizon line, which is quite nice. So I will go around the tree roughly. But this is the thing, because we're using such a strong colour behind, you do need to work a little bit more with the white. So this is going to be cloud, I guess, but I'm going to put a base colour on first before we go too wild making it look like clouds, because it's going to be a bit streaky and stripy to start with. Now, of course, you could do this method in acrylics with, you know, you could paint your canvas a random colour. You might have seen Landscape Artist of the Year where people use really weird colours to you, but now you know that it will almost certainly either be a complementary colour or a colour that will help create a really interesting piece of art. So I'm tinting the paper all the time with a bit of white, and then I will do some cloud shapes over the top with a slightly heavier white. When I say heavier, it's going to be the same white, but there'll be less water involved. But you have to pace yourself when you're on card like this, because it's not made for a lot of water. So it does tint. Let me just get that. You don't need to get the hairdryer on, but I will, because it's starting to be a bit shiny with the light. So it's quite amazing how we've got pink, because we haven't added any red to that sky, but the red underneath is showing through. It's not going to look like this. I'm going to add more clouds. In fact, the dye from the paper has come through with the paint, and it's tinted my brush pink. So we've made pink paint using the natural dye, well, whatever the dye is, on the paper. So I'm going to go in with a bit more white with my flat brush, and I'm going to start to give it a bit of a cloudy twist now. So I'm going to roll my brush. This is what we do in acrylics, it's what we do in watercolours. It's a good way of breaking up any hard edges. We just give it a bit of a twist and a shout. And as we say, white is a very, very useful colour in gouache, in acrylics, in oils. I'm doing an oil masterclass. Well, not a masterclass. I've forgotten what I've called them now. I've stopped calling them masterclasses because people thought they were really...
I think it's a bit frightening.
It does sound hard, but it was just a way of showing that it was a full day class rather than a standard class, and we focused on a specific subject, which masterclasses do. But now we've shortened the day, and especially with the pandemic and stuff, I think it's better to have a shorter time. I think it's 10:30 till 2:30, so it's a good chunk of the day still. And we're doing one at the end of February on oils for beginners, and we're concentrating on different things for beginners. So a flat brush, I think, gives me better clouds than a round brush, and I think we discussed it last week. If I'm using a round brush for clouds, you end up with lots of V shapes, whereas using and twisting a flat brush, you actually get fluffy edges. I don't actually know how it works, but I think it's because you soften the edge of the brush. So lots of cloud in this. But the one thing I've found with gouache, and I don't know if you would agree with this, it's very, you feel like you're using tons of it, don't you? But actually, it's only a little bit. It goes such a long way. I mean, I have a special tile for my pet portraits, and I do keep it. I don't wash it or anything, and I'll just add.
Do you cover it up?
No, because when it goes hard, I just spritz it with a bit of water
Oh, right.
and use it again. Especially because I'm using the expensive stuff, I don't want to waste it. But yeah, I just let it go hard and see what it does. Oh, Kathy's just dropped something on there.
Well, 3 days off school at the moment.
Oh, is she all right?
Well, she took her up to get a PCR testing, and she's not got COVID or anything. But she's got sore throat and
Yeah.
tired. But she's a little fighter, she is, and she's always bouncing about, you know.
Yeah.
But the mum puts her to bed at 6 o'clock, and she's the last 2 days she slept till 9 o'clock.
Oh wow.
That's not
But
like her.
but there's a lot of stuff about, isn't there, this time of year? Anyway, it's
Well, she ended up taking us to the doctor's yesterday, which was a wee bit of a waste of time. But the doctor just said, well, she's got a bit of a sore throat.
yeah.
You know,
It does make you a bit more concerned with the pandemic and everything, doesn't it?
yeah.
But I test I've almost constantly got a cold this time of year. Always have had. You know, when I was little, for my birthday in December, I would nearly always have croup.
Yeah.
Always, and it still hasn't left me. You know, I will have a bit of a cough around Christmas time.
Yeah.
I test every week. You know, I do a lateral flow test every Sunday just to know I'm okay to come to class and
Yeah.
all of that. So I know I haven't got it,
I did one this morning.
but I just think, you know, there are.
You like to make sure, don't you?
You do, because you feel a bit responsible, don't you? And I'd hate to think that I had knowingly come in being sick and made somebody poorly, and that would go with whatever I was, you know. But if I don't feel ill and it's just a bit of a sniffle, then I can't, because I have lots of sniffles, I can't constantly stop off work just because I've got a runny nose or something, if it's definitely not COVID, because I don't have any COVID symptoms, really.
This time of year is even worse, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah. I mean, everybody's got something.
It's depressing as well, isn't it? Really?
It is. I find February is even worse than January, because it tends to be, I'm just going to add a bit more blue, it tends to be very, very grey.
Yeah.
I've got one of my students, enthusiastic Paul, he says, because November and February to me are the worst months of the year, because they're both very grey, they're both very boring and dull and not much happens, and
Yeah.
you know, it's dark. And he says that that's his favourite time of year, because he knows, like, November he likes because he knows Christmas is around the corner, and February he likes because he knows spring is about to start. So he tries to find the positive. It reminds me of my mum, actually. He tries to find the positive in a situation. Yeah. And he only watches happy films as well. Films with happy endings, which I think's really nice. I'm just adding a bit more blue into some of my clouds, and then I'll stick some more clouds on top. I want a bit more sky poking through. It is harder to cover strong paper colours. It's not impossible, but it just takes a bit more of a building up. I'm going to have to stop going to look at Facebook posts, because a lot of things just make me so annoyed. And then I start commenting, and then I'll get into a battle with somebody about stuff, and it's not healthy.
What's this? You on Facebook?
Yeah. Just there's so many idiots with opinions, and I'm fine with them having an opinion, but it's when they think it's fact that annoys me. Because I don't often post on Facebook posts, but when I do, it's because I know I'm right about a topic. I'm not a Karen. I'm not, but I just get annoyed if people post misleading stuff. I don't like it. It's toxic at times. There is. Well, a post I commented on last night was trying to compare people taking photos of their dinner to the still lives of the Dutch master, pieces. A still life of fruit that took 3 years to paint that had hidden meaning is not the same as taking a photograph of beans on toast. I'm sorry, it's not. And somebody was trying to argue the point with me, and I had to say, look, I'm really sorry, but you're wrong. I do lecture art history, and I've recently just done a lecture on still lives of the Dutch period, and you are incorrect. That comment has since been deleted, so it now looks like I'm talking to myself, but I don't mind. I talk to myself often. Some people have, yes, but I just think, I'm all for having a laugh, but please don't try and make light of things that have taken a long time to do.
People are ignorant, some people are.
They are, and they just think because they think it's actually the truth, whereas they haven't bothered to research it a little bit, or at all.
You've probably never lifted a paintbrush in their life.
No. Well, I don't want to do much more to this because it's going to take forever, and we're half an hour in, but it's hard to see because the camera's bleaching out the finished piece. Let me just get the hairdryer on this one more time, because if it's not dry when I go back in, it will lift off and create holes. So I'd rather take a little bit longer to get the sky more to how I want. Once we've got greens and things on this, it'll be fine. It's just that the camera doesn't like really strong image colours, because it just gets a bit scared, and there's me trying to make a camera sound like a human. It can't find the contrast, so it just ramps it up and makes it weird. Right, I'm not going to do any more to the sky for now. I'll see what it looks like when the tree's on. But the good thing is we can come back to it and we can go, oh, do you know what? Let me add this, or let me change that. There are sort of trails in the sky, so I can put that on. Right, there's a little bit of background purpley colour right in the distance that will give us a bit of some hills. Can you see them right at the back? Let me enlarge the screen because we're not going to look at the there's right there a little bit of purple that looks like a hill. It could be cloud, but it is a hill. So I'll go in with so I'll go in with a bit of blue, a bit of red, ultramarine, a little bit of cadmium red, tiny weeny bit of red, and some white. I'm going to need to squeeze some more white out in a minute. And I'm just going to paint this hill. And it's only a small patch, but it will make a difference to the distance in this scene. Because it's good to apply ancient principles of the masters, because they did know what they were doing. They knew what they were talking about. So we'll go cooler colours at the back, more blues, and then we'll go more yellowy greens, and then more browny greens, which it kind of is in this picture, which is ideal for what we want to do.
When you've got a couple of minutes, Jackie,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Can you get me a couple of flat brushes?
Yes. What sort of size? Just
There's little ones, like these,
Yes.
like the woodpecker or sea white ones.
Yes.
Only when you're ready, guys. Don't rush.
I'm not going to do anything right this second, so I'll go and do it now.
Eh?
I'll go and do it now.
All right, sweetheart.
What do you mean you're not doing anything? I'm
I'm
paying you to do
researching-
nothing?
I'm
What?
researching- I'm researching.
Oh, Kuritake.
No, I've given up on that. I'm researching the other catalogue,
Oh, the new one.
but I am interruptible.
She does work hard, really. Most of the
And it's
time.
rather dark, mind you. It's always a different colour with yours because it's
Yeah, and also because we've got the red here, so I want to make a bit of green for the background behind the wall. So, like this section here.
right.
I'll go with lemon yellow, a little bit of ultramarine. I might need a bit more ultramarine than
Your
that.
brush is always dry when you.
No, wet.
Wet. So
Wet.
Lemon yellow.
Ultramarine. I'm going to try that. Trouble is, if they're too wet, then you lose. Now this looks very in your face, but we know it dries darker. I know I'm going to be stuffing a tree on this, but we will do some darker tones and what have you.
My green's very good dark.
Oh, mine's almost lime green at the minute. I might have to, but because I know it's got red underneath, so it's the red. We were talking about complementary colours, making colours look more vibrant.
So this is down that.
So yeah, the bit behind the tree and the left side of the hill. But you'll see this change and dry quite drastically.
I could go over the tree stump.
Yeah, because the tree's going to be darker. That's what's good about gouache, is you can put light on dark and, you know, do all of that business and it's fine. Oh, hang on, which is the top of the wall? That's the wall there, so this is path.
Is there anybody else doing this class today?
No, we have a few people that can't do it live, so they do it after the event.
Oh, right.
And that's what's good about these online classes now, is because, you know, at one time we had to try and shoehorn everybody in the same building at the same time because
Yeah.
we could only have that one chance to get that lesson. But now it's really cool, because if you can't do it, or if you don't live locally, because a lot of our students now don't live anywhere near Banbury.
No.
We've got students in Wales and Edinburgh and Kent,
They can all do them.
and they can do it whenever they want, which is nice. So you can see how that's dulled down a little bit. And then if I add a bit more blue,
Oh, both of them, please, darling. Yeah. Just let us know when that's not doing
Yeah.
a bit more blue and a little bit of white. I can do a bit of stipply texture, so a bit more blue, a bit of white, and then I can stab away. Stab, stab, stab. I do love gouache. Bargain. I'll probably do some darker bits in this as well, but I'm doing some lighter tones for now just to get some texture. I've already painted over where I've drawn the path going through, but that's alright. You could have done a bit of painting today, Jackie. Because you did lovely mushrooms, didn't you? The fungi that we did. Did you post it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Did you get more likes than mine?
I don't know, I'll check for you.
Maybe don't, because that'll upset me. I can't cry live. You often get more likes than me on social media. So if you want to add any darker tones to that green, add a bit more blue. You could add a bit of brown in there as well, just so you get dull green tones, because it's not all about bright greens. There's textures. It's a natural shape. Now my hill isn't very hilly, actually. It's quite flat, I've just noticed, but I don't care. So I can pop in a few darker tones. By a lot? Yeah. Oh, good. But I probably use a lot more hashtags than you. Don't I?
You've got more than twice as many followers.
Exactly. So it's not really a fair competition, is it? That's why when you do better, it really upsets me, because I've got no excuses.
Yeah,
I can't say, oh well, I've got this or that. It's just that it's not as good.
well, maybe it's not a competition at all.
Maybe everything's a competition. When you're me. Maybe that's the problem. Something like that will work quite nicely, I think. It is a lot darker in the picture, but I don't know if I want to go that dark. Because we've got the tree to put on and everything else, haven't we? So, do you know, I think what we'll do is we'll get all of the grassy stuff in, and then we'll do the tree last, yeah? Because that way we've got all the colour around it and we know what's going on. Actually, this darker green... well, yeah. Just in case it all goes wrong, at least we can start. So I'm using this blue and brown mix to do some darker grass down here. So I'm ignoring the wall as well for now and the path. And I'm going to stick this darker grain, which is ultramarine, a bit of lemon yellow, a lot of ultramarine, and some burnt sienna. And some of the red will show through. And that's okay. Not too much water because I'm stippling. Having a bit of a stipple. I could use this dark bit down here, so this bit, and then we'll get lighter going further up. So this is ultramarine, a little bit of lemon yellow, and a bit of burnt sienna. I'm stabbing. Oh, I've got to use a bit too much burnt sienna in there and it's gone brown. Let's go back with a bit more blue. Oh, what green? You want a more sludge green. Add a bit more blue in there, I reckon, Marie. So it can go quite sludgy, but we're going to use a different I'm going to introduce the cadmium yellow, the orangey yellow in a minute as we get further up the hill. And I'm hoping that as I start to add more greens, the camera will not freak out as much, because there won't be so much red. I'm going to use this green down here as well, this darker green, which is a lot of blue, a little bit of lemon, and some burnt sienna. Well, we've got the colour mix, we might as well use it everywhere, haven't we, that we need it. Because the light is definitely further back and a lot higher up, so these hills and things don't get much light. So what I'm going to do, once I've got this, a little bit of this darker green in a few different places, I'm going to introduce the other yellow, and it will go a bit more sludgy. And sometimes you can't tell how it's going to look until it does dry. No, because the colour you put on your palette isn't even the colour that it finishes, because you've also got the colours that's underneath that need to be considered, and then you've got the chalk. So the chalk content in the paint, so whatever colour you start with isn't necessarily the colour that you're going to end up with. So you do have to think a bit more backwards. Actually, there's probably more uncertainty than watercolour, because watercolour can be tricky because you've got to make it dry lighter, haven't you? It will dry lighter. But with gouache, it kind of dries a bit darker, but also chalkier. But we're going to make lots of different greens, I think, today. La 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 la, 11:15 already. We've nearly been here an hour. It's amazing, isn't it, how the time... Can you sort Roger out with 4 sheets of big tracing paper, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
If we've got it.
Oh, well, I hope we have. If not, why hasn't it been on the board? When does that happen?
Not yet.
March? Is it March?
It's so dark in the morning.
I know, I know.
I don't even think you should be awake, should you?
Well, in olden days they didn't, did they? They'd go to sleep when it was dark and they'd get up when it was light.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see, when do the clocks go forward?
Have you done it all green?
I've done a bit of that, and I've done a bit of that with more of the orangey yellow. 27th of March. So we've got another 2 months.
Oh dear. It just seems like the time you get up, you do a bit and it's time to go to bed again.
Yeah, I know. It's just constantly dark all the time.
I quite agree with the animals where they hibernate, you know.
Yeah, or they certainly do a lot less, don't they? And I
They
think
definitely do.
I'd like to do a lot less. I'm going to use actually the cerulean blue with a bit of the orangey yellow and some white to do a different green on the top. Trouble is too much white and it goes minty. Oh, maybe that'll work. Okay, let me stab a bit of grass on here. Then we can do all of the stonework. Whether we'll be able to get all of this done, it's a lot fiddlier. Now this looks really pale, but I don't know. I don't think it'll stay pale. I think it'll go darker. Unless I've used too much white, which I think I have. Let me dull it back down again. It's very hard to get a balance, and it is purely because you can't judge what it's going to look like, because you can mix a new colour and it can on the paper look exactly the same as the colour you've just put on, but be a lot darker. So it is more of a, not potluck, because you know you're going to get roughly the colour you want, but it's whether it's going to be brighter or duller.
Funny how it dries, doesn't it?
It is. You see, that's dried so much lighter than I wanted, so I'm going to have to go in and put some darks back. I think I used too much white, because if we can get all the grass done before, you know, the half time, maybe I want a slightly bigger brush to cover in some of the area. Oh, this is an older.
It takes a time, doesn't it, to get this?
Yeah, this is an old acrylic brush. I don't know whether this will work.
I suppose using a small brush as well.
Yeah, this is a really old acrylic brush. And now I haven't got enough paint, so let's get more blue, more yellow. Because it's a bit too pale. That's a bit better. See, if I use, we've got, you see, it does need to be really dark there, because this path is on a sort of elevated position, isn't it? So that this bit needs to be very dark down here, and then this bit needs to be lighter again. Let me try with a bit more lemon. And I find with gouache you only need a bit of water, because too much makes it go really runny, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
No, that might be too bright, but I won't know until it dries.
And if you've got it too wet, it just sort of soaks up.
Yeah, you don't get the stipply bit, which is what's happened. I literally just dipped the tip of my brush in the corner of the water.
You got tea this afternoon?
Yes, I think so. We're doing a little long-tailed tit this afternoon. Cute little things. Look like furry badgers with wings. Right, if I get the hairdryer on this, you can see it a little bit clearer. I might use a bit more lemon yellow for some highlights still. But I got too much water on my brush the last time. It's still the light, the camera doesn't like this red at all. Let me just bend my paper back. Yeah, weird how it's freaking out. Let's turn the light off altogether now. That's better. Oh, it's still on, but it's more subtle. I have to keep changing the lighting here to get it how we want. Slightly longer flicks gives us a bit more textured grass. Stipple gives us short grass, long flicks give us longer grass. They could have put that catalogue in our delivery, couldn't they? Jackie? Because we ordered from them last week, they could have put that in the box. I bet that no, they normally put it in the box. Yeah. I bet they will have anyway. We'll have both. Is this looking a bit better for your eyes now? Can you see how it's going? No? So you can add a little bit of white to any greens if you want to just lighten it a little bit, but it's a bit tricky. We've got more, obviously we've got more greens to make because we've got the tree and then the mossy bits in between the pathway. So play around with your greens. You do want it darker towards the foreground, because that will just give us a bit more depth. But again, with a lot of it, you won't necessarily know until it dries how it's going to look. I noticed I've got a couple of acrylic brushes I need to clean Jackie with some hand sanitizer to get out, because it's basically only half the width of a brush. I hadn't cleaned it. I hadn't cleaned it, you see. Not properly. I'm not saying you've got to do it, I'm saying I'm going to be doing it. But it's nearly time for a cup of tea. I want it a little bit brighter on the top of that hill though. I'll have to squeeze out a bit more white in a bit. I'll run out. Bit more of the orangey yellow, bit of white. It's interesting how the colours underneath do help with the greens, isn't it, in a way, Marie? It's very different. Because if you think if we were doing this in watercolour, we'd end up having to, we couldn't put a darker colour underneath. We'd have to start lighter and gradually get darker. But working in a little different way gives a different effect, which I really like. So second half, it will be the pathway, the wall, and the lovely big tree. Decaf cappuccino, Marie?
Yes, please, then. Yes, please. What are you grocerying at the moment? Anything?
No, nothing at the minute. I just downloaded some little bags. Nothing at the minute.
Hey?
Nothing at the minute.
Nothing?
I've just finished a load of little bags. But nothing big at the minute. No.
This this Harry Potter is driving me nuts.
I'll bring it in. I'll just do it for you. It's fine.
He looks absolutely ridiculous. If I remember, I will bring him in tomorrow, what I've done. And his head is enormous. I just not like it at all. And I can't. It must be that when I do the double crochet, I do it so loose that it gets to be so big. Because it definitely says like double crochet. Well, I don't know how I'm managing to get things to look enormous.
Don't know.
Maybe you can tell me tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll bring it in.
Yeah, I'll just bring it in.
I'll let you have a look.
I've made quite a few of those things. It is a bit different because you do have to crochet them quite tight anyway, because like otherwise the stuffing escapes.
Yeah, it comes through the holes, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you have to do it quite tight tension.
I did think maybe I should just do an ordinary crochet stitch instead of double crochet. Maybe that would make a difference.
But is it written in English or is it written in American English? Because double crochet in British one is like a single crochet in American.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh right.
So if you're used to following American things,
I don't know. I'll have a look.
yeah, it might
Bit of a
Might be
cue.
what it is, mightn't it?
Bit of a cue
Is
downstairs.
it? Yes, I know.
Because these things they're supposed to be 6 inches when finished.
I bet that's what it is. Because are you doing it double crochet like with the yarn over and then through twice, or did you do it just once through and then two loops?
But when I do the double crochet, I put the yarn around the
Yeah,
middle.
no, it will be in British. It will mean like a single crochet. It will mean just like put it and then go through 2 loops, not twice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I've done it all wrong.
Yeah.
then.
So yeah.
It doesn't say that on the pattern either. That's naughty, isn't it?
There's like more than one. It's really confusing. Like because a lot of places do things in US terms, and then other places do it in like an old-fashioned version. So it's like it's really. You just have to sort of go by the picture and by the context sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I'll definitely bring it in tomorrow and let you have a look.
Yeah, I think you've done.
I'm doing all of it.
I think you've done one too many
Yeah.
loops in it. I think it meant just flat normal crochet. Normally it does when it's
Not
those
the
things.
holes like that.
No, yeah. But yeah, it's not really a mistake. It's just like different way of doing the turns. It's normal.
Yeah.
that's drying, it looks a bit better, doesn't it? Now that's drying. So I've got lots of branches and stuff, but I think we'll do the pathway next, and then we'll drink is on its way. It's just as it's in a queue waiting to be done. She's got quite a few people in the cafe. So we want we'll do the stone, so I'll use a smallish flat brush for that. I'm going to mix a bit of the orangey yellow, a little bit of the brown, and maybe a tiny bit of ultramarine and some white. The ultramarine just makes it a little bit more dull, I guess. And then I'm going to paint stones, because there's a lot of stones in this. It doesn't have to fit anything. It's not the Yellow Brick Road. We're not doing the Tin Man or Dorothy.
You're not starting right at the top, just at the...
Yeah, where it meets the walls. Because we can use some black or something to do the actual path. Mine's looking more like a cobble. My pieces are quite small. And then I'll do some lighter highlights with it, you see, by adding a bit more white to it. But then there is that path, but it's actually quite pale, the path that goes off behind the tree, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So I can do that when I've got the highlights for this one. Wonder how old this path is. Roman or older even, maybe, I don't know. Right, I've done it with that one colour. I bet it's seen quite a few people.
It was lemon yellow.
No, the orangey yellow. Orangey yellow, a bit of the brown, a tiny weeny bit of the blue, ultramarine, and a little bit of white, and I'm doing more white for the highlights. I can't actually find where I've drawn this. So some slightly lighter highlights, but I am going to do some dark browny blacky bits in between it, you know, to make it feel like, and then maybe some green on top. I mean, we can't fiddle for too long because of the time, really, but I think they look like they're just Yeah. It's nice to spend some time on some of it, though, isn't it? Because I think there's a lot of components in this.
It's just getting it right.
Yeah. And you need enough information. You don't necessarily need loads of detail, but you need enough for it to look realistic. Oh, we're doing a badger next week. A badger.
Oh, that's nice.
So I might use grey paper or black paper next week.
We've got a monument tomorrow, haven't we?
Yeah, it's all purples. It's a lovely, from Stirling, Scotland.
Was it Burns night last night?
It was.
We were supposed to have haggis and neeps and all that, but because mine was not very well,
Oh, so did you not have any haggis?
so we're having it on Friday instead.
We had haggis, didn't we, Jackie?
I'm sure she will.
I wasn't I didn't order these.
No, she just did them for you anyway.
Oh, that's nice, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
We had haggis on Monday, didn't we, Jackie?
Thank you. You've had,
Haggis.
yeah?
Because Jackie's a Scot, you see.
Yes, I am.
Oh, right.
Well, her mum is, so
Yeah.
you are, yes.
I think I did my DNA test and I was.
Yeah, you are. So, often after on Burns, the week of Burns night on the Monday when we have our art class,
Yeah.
I always cook haggis, neeps, and tatties, don't I, for you?
Very nice.
I've been doing that.
You have the meat one, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the veggie one is good as well.
I only can't have the veggie one because it's got leeks and onions and stuff that I can't eat with my IBS, so that I'm better off with the meaty one.
Yeah.
But you can't. It tastes exactly the same.
seasoning's very similar.
Eh?
The seasoning's very similar with the vegetarian one. It's really good.
We have the vegetarian
Yeah, it's
one.
very good.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Doesn't it
Yeah.
tastes authentic? It's
Yes.
not-
Yeah, it does.
doesn't even taste really that different.
Yeah.
Makes you realise it's more the
The spices. It's the spices, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
taste of it.
Right, I'm doing a bit of blue and black just to make the dark brown messy bits.
She's coming on Friday.
Aw.
I made her a kilt, so
Yeah.
she wore that on Saturday for her granddad's birthday. She'll turn up with her kilt on Friday, and we'll have our haggis.
Yes, I'm actually very Scottish.
You are very Scottish.
I am very Scottish.
Mum and Dad, or just one of them?
My mother's Scottish.
Yeah.
I thought my dad was completely English, but when I did my DNA test, I found that he must have Irish because
Oh, right.
he's not allowed to ask, but we wouldn't know. But I think it was 20% Irish and about 60% Scottish.
Oh, very nice.
So there's not much me left to be English because
No.
I've also got Scandinavian, like 10% Scandinavian, which isn't surprising because my mother's ancestors are from like Orkney and Shetland, so it's not that surprising
No,
really
it's
that
not, is
I've
it?
got Norwegian in.
Yeah.
You haven't got anyone in the Scilly Isles, have you?
No,
No, it's
that's down.
that's down.
First time I had haggis was when I got took to Scotland, and we were called in the fish and chip shop, and I had it as a sausage, haggis sausage, and it was wonderful.
My first haggis was at honeymoon in Edinburgh, and we had a full Scottish breakfast in a cafe, and that was slices of grilled haggis instead of other stuff that you'd have on a full English, and I just fell in love with it. But then I can't say the word on Facebook because it will. I can mute my thing. But I do. I love haggis.
I don't remember the first time I ate it though. I think
Well, you'd have had it. You'd have done Burns night every year through your childhood, wouldn't you? I would have thought.
I think we'd have just had it when we were little. I don't remember.
Right, so I've gone with a bit of brown and black to give me a little bit
I
of.
was going to say that brown's not dark enough.
No, add a bit of black, and then I will go in with some green. I'm gonna have to squeeze out a bit more white because I need some highlighty greens in between the path, and then we can work on the wall and then the tree. Because your hubby's proper Scot, isn't he, Marie?
Yeah.
Where are you from? I'm from
Glasgow,
Glasgow.
born and bred.
Okay.
A Ouija.
Yeah.
Do a bit of green in there.
Beautiful country. Really is. Beautiful place. Do you ever go up there, Jackie?
Yeah, my mother's from Edinburgh, and we don't have a lot of family there anymore. But my sister lives in Stirling,
Oh, right.
so yeah, so she's between Glasgow and Edinburgh really. So I have been to Glasgow probably about I think the year before pandemic or something. I went to Glasgow and Stirling.
Do you drive up?
No, I went on the train. I went on the train from Rugby because you can get to Glasgow in 3 hours.
Mm.
From Rugby.
Oh, nice. Right, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what my mother often does. She like before all this stuff. She has actually. I think yeah, she's been to Scotland actually. So yeah, you can get train. If you get the first train out of Rugby at like 6:30, you can get to Glasgow Central Station for morning coffee.
Good grief.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it
And
is, isn't
she's
it?
gone to Glasgow and back in a day.
Wonderful.
It's worth looking at the trains from there because it's not really that far away. It's only like 20 miles from here,
Yeah,
so it's only like a 45-minute
yeah.
kind of.
What, go to Rugby and then catch the train from Rugby to Edinburgh?
So much faster. Yeah, it's not loads faster to Edinburgh, but a bit faster to Edinburgh, but it's very fast.
I mean, when you think about it, though, like 10 years ago, you couldn't have dreamt of doing something like that, would you? Everything's took a lot longer. I mean, my mum in the West Midlands used to have a day trip to Stour Port, which is about 8, 12, 15 miles away. They'd have a charabanc and go there for the day, whereas I used to go there for a drink. I'd just nip down because it was a 20-minute drive for a drink on the canal, and then I'd come home. It's amazing how, you know, with the world is so much smaller now, isn't it? Which isn't always a good thing, I don't know, but I'm just shoving a bit of green in between my bits of my path.
I like Glasgow for the shopping.
I've never been to Glasgow.
I like Glasgow for shopping and museums.
Because are they going to rebuild the Macintosh place
Yeah, when I was
after
there,
it burnt down twice,
all of
didn't it?
art, was all under covers and everything, so I don't suppose it's finished. I think they said it was going to take years, like years and years.
But didn't it? It did burn down again, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. That was after I went after.
Well, I wasn't implying you did it.
No, I didn't.
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me. I would never.
How are we doing for time? 10 to 12. I wonder what it is that makes the time go so speedily in these art classes.
Happens to us.
Is it just that, do you think? Okay. So a bit of green in amongst that. Can do a bit of stonework, then we'll do a tree. Oxfordshire County Council have responded to my discussion on their Facebook page. They were posting, so Oxfordshire County Council, it did annoy me. Maybe I am a Karen. Because they're going on about how bad traffic is and how it's the biggest pollutant and they need to put things in measure to help reduce all of that. And I said to them, but the issue is, like here in Banbury, you keep allowing more homes, allowing more businesses to be built, but you don't change the infrastructure. So we've got thousands more cars on a road that was built 80 to 100 years ago, and it's not big enough for the volume of traffic. So there's so many cars. I mean, me just coming in, it's a 6-mile journey from my house to here. I'm stopped more than I'm moving, because there's a 2-mile stretch as you come off the motorway to go straight ahead past Tesco's towards Aldi. 2 miles. There are 13 points where I have to stop potentially at every junction and at every pedestrian lights. 13 in 2 miles. So you just, every couple of 100 yards, you're stopping. And then you're starting again. So, you know, times that by thousands of cars a day, you've got fumes galore. Oh, you've got customer jacking. You've got fumes galore. You know, I think in the West Midlands, you see, over really busy dual carriageways and double dual carriageways, which we've got, we have big footbridges, you know, pedestrian bridges, which you have, it's more of a spiral ramp, so you can have wheelchairs and pushchairs, and then you go over the top. It's tall enough for big lorries, but it saves on having pedestrian traffic lights. So that means you instantly reducing the need to stop again. It's crazy when you look at even this busy road here that the Three Pigeons is on, from Tesco's to the Cross. I think you have to stop at least 10 times just on that short,
I won't go that way.
not even a mile.
No, it's a nightmare.
Because there's like a pedestrian crossing, a roundabout, a junction, a pedestrian crossing, a roundabout, a junction, a pedestrian crossing. And it's sort of, you need to reduce, you know, you're never going to reduce the traffic because you've allowed more people to live here and work here. So you need to change the roads. You can't just keep... I mean, Banbury's been here since the Viking ages, and a lot of the road layout is still the same. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's going to get worse as well, because they're bringing in these new rules, aren't they? On
the highway code.
On the highway code.
Yeah, so you give way to pedestrians that are crossing a junction instead of turning into the junction, so you'll be stopping again if there's more people.
I mean, how awkward is that going to be?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to walk out in front of you at the junction whenever they feel like it, aren't they?
Yeah.
If they realise.
And they'll feel like, I mean, they have got the priority, but how many of them will look? Because they'll just assume the right of way. So the onus is more on the driver to be ultra alert. But if you're having to stop and start every couple of minutes and to stop and start round junctions round here, it's
they've got more rights now. People on bikes.
So it's really difficult for a driver. But a lot of it isn't the driver's fault, and also it's so much more expensive to come by bus. If you're lucky enough to have a bus where you live, where I do, they come every hour, but I think it's like £6 for a return ticket for me. Well, it's only £3.50 to park all day. You know, if it was the same price or cheaper, I'd come by bus more often. But the issue for me then is I can't get back home because they stop at 5:30. So it's sort of like, it doesn't make it easy. If you want to try and be more environmentally friendly, then they
never get it right anyway.
No. I think we're too far gone now.
I mean, it was a small town to start with, Banbury.
Yeah.
And it just grew and grew, and they're just making it grow even bigger.
Yeah.
But they're not putting other stuff in it to help it.
No, it's crazy. I'm going to go with a bit of black and a tiny bit of white to do the darker parts of the wall, which is this bit and this bit. I'll have to put a bit of grass in front of this wall again, but we can do that when the tree's built.
So this is a little bit of black.
And a tiny bit of white. I think you're doing a good job with this, Jackie.
Yes.
No?
No.
I'm trying desperately to get you back into art, because I'm sad that you don't do it anymore.
I do sometimes.
Did you do the pastel one? Did you actually finish it? Okay.
But you don't want to do it.
I just haven't had a chance to finish it off. been like.
Well, it's been a tricky week this week for you anyway.
I need to have like an hour or two spare just to properly tackle it. It has been. I don't know. No, I'm just very busy. It's nothing serious.
Right, and this is for
the dark bit of the wall, and then I'll add a little bit more white to do the top of that wall, and then lighter still for the detail. Can't believe the time, we've only got half an hour left. Not trying to get rid of anybody, but you know, I have to get ready for another class, you know. It's so tricky. Everything's constantly doing, and then we're getting emails from people. You haven't responded to it. No, I haven't responded to your email just because I'm literally teaching every day. Now we've ramped up how many classes we do. I'm constantly working and teaching. And
are they paying off, Barry?
No, we to be honest.
Say how it like it is.
Well, it is. There's no point in pretending. It's very quiet at the moment.
You're not going in, are you?
No. No, I don't know what I'd do anyway. I can't do anything else. No, we're gonna hold it out, stick it out. But you do start thinking, well, how long do I have to leave it before, you know, how bad will it need to get before I decide to do something about it? But currently, we are, like most businesses at the moment, living hand to mouth, week to week. You know, we have just enough money, hopefully, in the bank every week when we start, and then it's all gone again by Friday, and then it all comes back in again on the Monday. But it's just how it is.
That's how I used to live years ago.
I do live like that. I mean, since we've gone back to fairly normal here. During lockdown, I cleared my overdraft and everything because I wasn't doing anything, and then I'm back in the bottom of my overdraft personally, and I can't get out of it because they charge me £1 a day to be in it, or £1.20 a day to be in my overdraft. So I'm never going to get out of it, because if they didn't charge me £1.20 a day, I would probably get out of it a lot quicker. But it's not really in their interests to get you out of debt, is it?
No.
They need you in it.
No, they like you in debt.
But, you know, it was far worse in the recession. It was a lot worse in the recession. I mean, Jackie started working for me when we moved to the bookshop, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And
You've been there a little bit.
yeah, and we were at the tail end of the double dip then in, 2011, 2012. And our weekly take-ins were only like £300 a week, weren't they?
Yeah.
Back then, which was awful. I honestly don't know how I afforded to live. But then it slowly picked up again. And our take-ins aren't quite that low currently, so I must be doing something right. I'm doing a lot of business advisory stuff as well for free, sadly, but people seem to think I know what I'm talking about, so that's quite a nice confidence boost.
Yeah.
Because I've made all the mistakes and I know what not to do.
Do you ever think of doing a stall down on the market on Thursdays or Saturdays?
Yeah, the trouble is it's the staffing of it, because there's only me and Jackie finishes at 2 every day, and I can't afford to pay someone else to be there because I'm teaching, so that's the problem. And I think also people have got an idea that because it's on the market it's got to be a bargain, so we'd have to reduce prices and stuff, so I don't know how well it would work. I mean, I could have my paintings on there, but again, now I haven't got my mum around, she'd have loved to work on a market stall because that's what she used to do. She is a market person. She used to work on a fruit and veg stall and a bakery in a market. I think that's all right for the wall. There's a bit of texture. I don't know if I need to go a little bit lighter because it's quite white, the top of that wall, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do a few more little lines and bricks on here. I do think that things will pick up again. People just need to get their confidence back.
Well, I think, well, it has to, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it did in the, after the Spanish flu. Everybody stopped at home for a year or two, and then gradually they got their confidence back in, and then we'd forgotten about it, hadn't we?
Yeah.
So we will get back to normal. It's just we've got to hang on in there. I think a lot of the time nowadays it's all about just patience and not disaster planning, but you've got to, because we're struggling to get stock, but we've now got 6 suppliers that sell the same sort of products. So we know if we can't get it from one, we'll try it from another. If we can't get it from them, hopefully the other one will have it. And generally that's how we play. We all try different places to get stuff.
Do you still have a lot of people ordering online?
We have some, because Shop Happy's got a new site now where it's all of the online shops in all of the towns that work with Shop Happy in the country are all put under one main site now. So you can search art materials if you're in Edinburgh on that site, and we'll come up with any other art shops that are also on there. So I think yesterday's order was from that site as well. So it's we're not getting as much as we are or that we did during lockdown, but the online sales are helping. And it's interesting, I did a bit of spreadsheet stuff, which I don't really like doing, but it helps you know where things are and what's doing what. And when you could see our lockdowns hit, you could see the online spike, and then when things went back to normal, the online goes down, but our normal shop takings go up. So it's you can see that it does help through. I think the technical term for a shop like us now is hybrid, where we're online and real life, so people can choose.
Do a bit of whatever.
Do a bit of both, and we see it a lot. When there's a spike in cases locally, online classes get bigger and real life classes get smaller. So people do more of one and less of the other. So but we didn't have that flexibility before.
Interesting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, before we were just a shop with classes, and if I was ill or couldn't come in, there'd be no shop, there'd be no classes. But now I can do it from home. I can do it. You can online shop from home, and as long as one of us is available to come in and wrap it up and post it, we've got the option. So I think it's a much better way of working. There's a lot more behind the scenes now, because you have to make sure your stock levels are right and your prices. All the prices have gone up this year, so I had to spend 4 hours last week amending all the online prices to make it match here. But it's how the world works. But when you look at how retail was when I started when I was 17, 25 years ago, it's a different world now. It's exciting in a way though, because it's all different things, whereas before,
Not just as easy as it used to be.
oh no, I mean you used to just do
shop and sell your stuff.
you do a nice shop window, and then you'd stand behind your till, and that was it. You didn't need any of the, you might occasionally put an advert in the newspaper if you were doing something special, but now it's like every day you need to post on social media because people are glued to their phones, and if you don't post, people will forget you. So you're having to think of marketing that you never used to. stock photography of your shop items. Be funny, be engaging, be this, be that, you know, as well as doing a nice shop window and standing behind your till. There's a lot more to retail now than it ever has been. But it's not impossible. It's just a new way of learning because, you know, none of us.
You either have to adapt to it or you get out, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go under and get out.
Because, you know, if you're not online in some form now, you've got no chance of surviving. I think because people won't know you're there.
Yeah, you have to get the word out.
Even if you've just got a website or a Facebook page that people can contact you and say, "Can I buy this, please?" You need that option.
It's like the lady down next door, isn't it, with the handbag? I don't know how she survives.
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because they're only open a couple of days a week, aren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I doubt you could sustain that for long. But to my mind, you see, I'd rather, even if it's deathly quiet, I'd rather be open 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Because I'd be worried, what if that one day that I'm shut, somebody wants to spend 100 quid?
Somebody wants something.
You know, because trying to get everybody to shop in just those 2 days that you want to be open doesn't work because, you know, what if everybody isn't free on those 2 days?
Yeah.
You know, so you'd need to be on social media as well and all of that kind of stuff to allow for that. Right, I'm going to do my tree trunk next, which is it's a greeny browny grey, so I'll do a bit of brown, a bit of blue, a bit of ultramarine, I think, or cerulean, it doesn't matter, and a bit of yellow, orangey yellow. Let's go orangey yellow. Orangey yellow, blue and brown. And I'm going to do it quite dark to start with. But I think you'll see that a lot in everywhere, that the businesses that haven't adapted are the ones that have already gone.
Yeah.
But it's not only that, it's the big shops that have gone. And you'd think that they would be okay, but the problem with them is that they can't adapt quick enough. They have to have a board meeting and then a general managers meeting, and then by the time they've actually made the decision, the moment's passed.
But the beauty of it is, do you know Debenhams?
Yeah.
Well, they've gone, haven't they?
Yeah.
Right. But when you come in of a night time, right, that Debenhams sign is still lit up.
Oh, really? So all of that electricity.
So all of that electricity is being wasted, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd think somebody would clock on, wouldn't you?
I know, it's crazy. I follow a few urban explorers, and they're people that go to abandoned buildings and stuff, and there's leisure centres that have been abandoned and all of the lights are on and everything's still there, and hospitals that have been abandoned and all of the lights are on and everything. You know, it's bizarre. But yeah, I think having a small shop, it does mean that we don't have to make a lot of meetings. We can just go, oh, yeah. I remember when I was like 19, working in it was a big department store, but it was an independent high street department store, and there were strikes at the post office 4 doors down, and it was shut. So I said to my boss, I'm going to do a window display today, we need to, and he was like, oh, just do what you like. They just let me do what I like. It's better than me moaning at them. So I got all the bubble wrap envelopes, I got all of the other envelopes, all the parcel tape, everything, because it was a stationery shop as well, and I did a big display of postage and packaging. So everybody walking past annoyed that the post office was shut would come in and buy the stamps and buy the stuff that they were going to get from the post office. So, but if that was a big company, couldn't do that.
No.
You'd have to check with head office, check with your manager would have to check with their higher up manager, and then middle management would then have to have a word with the board. And you know, you need to just go, right, oh, it's raining, let's sell more umbrellas, or it's this, let's sell this, it's cold today, let's make sure we're selling salt. You know, lots of little things.
Right, what colour's this, Barry?
So this is black, no, brown, blue and yellow for the dark bit, and then I'm going to add a bit of white
Brown, blue.
for some highlights. And then we'll put some foliage on.
Yellow.
Because it's all going to be dark in there and what have you, so we don't have to do as much. I've missed a bit out that I'm going to have to fill in the background. I didn't allow for the fact that my tree might not come down to a certain level, so I'm having to fiddle a little bit. Right, let that dry and we can spend the last 20 minutes doing some nice foliagey bits. It's funny, isn't it? A 2-hour lesson where the lesson site is a sycamore tree on a path, and we've spent an hour and a half doing everything but the tree. But it needs to set in, doesn't it? Now we've got the whole scene. I think it looks really nice. Gosh, I didn't think we'd get through 2 cups of tea, Jackie. I'm just about managing. I'll be in the bathroom all afternoon. In the drawing class, right? Draw that bit back in a minute. I'll draw that bit back in a minute. Anything in here takes your fancy? No. Oh no. After all that trouble I've gone to get an appearance. The wink of Stella is good. Do you remember that? We had that once.
Yeah, mine leaked all over my pencil case.
Hmm?
Mine leaked all over my pencil case. Don't put the lid on properly. No, well, the pencil case.
But I didn't. The wink of Stella originally wasn't at Artars, or did they do something different? I didn't think it was Zig because it was like a mascara thing.
Yeah. Still got some bits in the end of it.
Right, now for my foliage I'm going to do the darker bits in black.
How much for the brushes, Jackie? Please, while I remember.
£5.19.
Okay.
£5.19 total.
£5.19.
Yeah.
Oh, let me use my scrappy brush.
Oh, I stick it in hospice thing. Thank you. Oh no, I put it in the hospice.
Right, how much is the coffee going on?
150.
That one's 150.
That was 150.
Yeah, I'll give that to you if I want to go
And
home.
150 for downstairs as well.
What for?
If you want to come in.
Oh, okay.
He only
Oh, yeah.
charges me the same. If it's any more,
Yes.
if it says any
No,
more.
it's okay. I'll go and sort that for you.
Right, so I'm stippling a bit of black where the dark bits are, the really dark bits. Stippling black.
Stippling black.
Not all over, but you know where the really dark bits of foliage are. And then we'll put some lighter, well, dark green, then light green. This really old manky acrylic brush is perfect for this. Because it's just, can you see how it's like really scrubby?
Yeah.
So it's giving me leaves that I haven't got normally. See, I won't throw brushes away because I'm sure they'll come in handy for something else.
I put them all in a jam jar and they're all underneath the
Yeah.
I give them to Molly, see.
Oh, well, it's perfect for little. Because how old's Molly now? 6, 7?
7. So when she comes round all the time,
Yeah.
she wants to do painting or some sort of artwork.
That's nice.
She's definitely into it all. Definitely. So I'm doing a Valentine's Day card today, Nan. I know I'm ill and I'm not at school, but I'm doing a Valentine's Day
Oh.
card. Right, okay.
Bless her.
And that's what she's going to be doing.
Well, you see, you're creative. Auntie Jade's creative, isn't she? So it's here are the 2 girls.
Yeah.
Are they crafty or arty or not really?
Lola. I wouldn't put her down to being arty, Lola.
No.
She can do things.
But she doesn't have the urge to do them.
No. She can't stand knitting or anything like that.
Really?
Puzzles, oh no.
No, I don't like jigsaws.
She'll read books. But I think it's because she's working and she's just finished her course to become a nurse. So I think like, and she's always been, she's more sporty, Lola.
Yeah.
Outdoor person.
Yeah.
She'd make I always told her this. She'd make a good farmer's wife, Lola.
Very outdoorsy.
Yeah, she's a good cook, and she's that way inclined. But she's not one for having loads of hobbies or anything like
No.
that. No, definitely not.
How many have we got this afternoon?
Elizabeth, my other daughter, she's arty crafty. Elizabeth is, Susie is, and Molly. Yeah, they're all like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because your sister's creative, isn't she, with her cross stitch and stuff?
My brother and sister are brilliant at everything they try and do.
It's annoying, isn't it, when they're brilliant at whatever they turn the hand to?
So they're like sciencey people, really, but they are brilliant at anything that they do. Just naturally brilliant.
Well, I think you are, because you're really good on the piano. You got the clarinet. You do knitting and crochet. You do painting.
My brother used to have the lesson after me, and our piano teacher used to say to me that my brother was like a natural talent. He didn't ever have to practice, and I would practice like.
You would have to practice.
Yeah, I'd have to practice, and he'd go, even though you've done all this practice, you're still not as good as your brother who's just turned up lazy on the day.
That's a bit deflating.
It is. Yeah, being compared.
To you anymore.
Oh, I did really try.
It's hard though, isn't it? You see, my brother and sister aren't really into anything creative.
No.
Nothing at all. My brother, they get a bit annoyed, and they'll always say, "Oh, you were the favourite." Probably was, because I was amazing. But my mum liked baking, sewing, doing crafts and art and all of this. And I know she would have done it all with all 3 of us, but I was the only one that actually wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Yeah.
So naturally we spent more time with each other doing arts and baking and all of that.
Yeah.
My brother and sister didn't want to do it. So it's not that they didn't have the opportunity, they just didn't bother.
Funny, when we were kids, my mum taught me how to knit and crochet, but that was it. With cooking and other things, it was always just get on and play. It's quicker for me to do it myself.
Yeah, no, Mum liked, so she taught me how to make pastry, and we were making cakes, even from 5 or 6. So she taught me how to bake, she taught me how to sew, and then we did drawing and writing, because she loved writing stories and stuff herself. So, but my brother and sister didn't want to do any of that. My sister just wanted to eat the raw ingredients out the bowl. So I think it's different. Your brother's good at baking, isn't he?
My arts and crafts when I was at school itself.
Yeah.
In the senior school.
Okay.
It started interesting then.
Right, I'm doing a dark green now. Ultramarine. A little bit of the darker yellow. And then I'm going to stipple that everywhere else. Jackie was the saviour of the day yesterday at work.
Yeah, that's one we told.
She's
What?
Jackie was the
Saved the day.
saved the day yesterday because downstairs in the cafe was a mum that was really struggling. She'd got a toddler and a tiny baby, and the baby was just screaming and crying, and the mum couldn't do anything. And
Little girl was getting constantly
yeah,
to go
little girl needed the loo.
bathroom, and mum couldn't cope because she had the pram and the screaming baby.
But Jackie is a baby whisperer.
Yeah, I took over the pram for her.
All babies just
Yeah, baby
perfectly
fine.
behave. So I was up here working, and you could hear the whole building was rocking with the screaming of the baby.
Yeah.
And baby whisperer went down within seconds. Silence.
I know, everybody in the cafe went, oh, that's better.
I've never known a baby not be quiet and beautifully behave for Jackie. Whoever she
It's
touches.
amazing, isn't it? Just got the ducks. So.
Yeah.
Just magic with babies.
Yeah.
I
My
do really
Elizabeth,
like. I do really like babies though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like. Yeah, I do really like them.
You connect with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. My Elizabeth's the same with. She's a midwife anyway, but she's the same.
Perfect job.
You know, and as soon as she gets hold of Molly when she was a baby, she'd go straight to sleep with Elizabeth.
It's funny, isn't it?
It's the way I think they hold them. You know, they've got that grip to start with, haven't they? Giving them must give the babies
Comfort.
confidence,
Yeah.
comfort.
I'm sure if you're used to picking up babies at work all day, that you get. They start to feel more secure
Yeah.
with the way you pick them up because they know that you're confident. And things.
But there have been a few times on the shop floor where there have been restless babies, and Jackie just goes to the mum, "Do you mind if I just try?" And they can, fine. And then it's like, phew,
I know.
quiet. Right, I'm doing a lighter green with lemon yellow, a little bit of ultramarine and white, and then I'm just going to put that
Dark green.
dark green first, and then a light green on top.
No, it's pretty now.
Well, it's getting there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a much longer process today. It's a big scene to do, I think. I was probably a bit too ambitious. But I knew Marie would cope with it.
I'll have a go then.
Yeah, but that's what I like, because you'll just go, yeah, we'll try that.
Yeah.
If I said, today, Marie, we're going to paint with our shoes and socks off, you'd go, oh, let's try that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have a go.
So I'm going to leave more dark patches. And then as your colour runs out, you see, you can get like softer tones. But it's looking a bit more tree-ish. A little bit darker.
There's nothing wrong with baby girl. We're just having a shower.
What's that?
There's nothing wrong with baby.
Oh yeah, I was just having a bit of a scream.
He was just a bit overtired. Needed to go off, but I know what it's like. They fight it, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it's like because I only taught.
Well, it's the same grown ups.
6 to-
Like
I know I moan the more when I'm hungry.
if you you've probably learned better ways to express yourself. But when
No.
you're a baby, you can only scream. That's all you got.
If I'm hungry, I get angry.
Yeah. She just needed to, you know.
I think most people do, don't they? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like ignoring away, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think,
It's the
"Oh,
same when you've got like a
anyway."
toothache or something, and it's just that constant dull pain. It does make you really short and irritable. So like when a baby's teething, you can really feel that you can empathise, can't you? So add in a bit more white. I'm loving my Manky acrylic brush, Jackie. It's perfect for this. Well, I'm sure if certain TV artists could, they'd try and market this
Okay.
as something special, texture tree brush or something like that.
Wunderbar. Well, is that nearly I'll start unpacking up?
25 past.
Yeah.
I'll have a parking ticket.
Well, because you came early, didn't you? That's why.
Yeah, I know.
So you'll have to remember next week. It's 10:30.
I don't think I shall ever make that mistake again now. Well, it's not a mistake, it didn't matter.
No. Because I saw her on a camera and I come downstairs. I went, "Hello, you're early." And she said, "Am I?" I went, "Yeah, because it doesn't start till 10:30. She said, "Well, what time is it?" I said, "It's 10 o'clock." Oh. Oh.
Goodness knows why I thought it was supposed to be 10 o'clock.
Well, some of our morning classes are 10 o'clock and others are 10:30. Although the art history one's going to start about 10-15 minutes later because some of the students can't get here in time.
Some of the staff can't get here in time.
Well, no, staff are the worst.
Staff are worse.
I enjoyed that, Barry.
Good, something very different. Oh, next week's a badger.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, you can book me in for next Wednesday and Thursday.
Absolutely.
Alright.
Yes, will do.
Almost finished, going a bit more white. But you know, when you look at how little paint we've used, oh, that's lovely. Yes. Perfect. But it is very economical with the paint, isn't it?
Yeah.
We really
It
don't.
needs to be a bit lighter, I think.
Yeah, I'm adding a little bit more white to my green.
Yeah.
Might do a little bit more lighter grass as well, just down here.
Got your phone, got your purse, got your keys. Right, I'll leave you back there, Barry, alright?
Yeah, that's fine. And we'll see you tomorrow, Marie.
Is it right to leave my picture there drying?
Yep, no problem.
And then I'll sort it out tomorrow. Put more lighter green on that. No, I'm well chuffed with that.
I think you've done really well. And to say it was on a burgundy background, which is
Yeah.
unusual to say the
Well,
least.
yeah, because you can, it gives it that lift.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Whereas if we'd used a different colour, it probably wouldn't do the same thing.
No.
So every day's a school day. Thank you, and you. And we'll see you next week.
See you tomorrow.
Oh, yes, see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll be here tomorrow.
2 o'clock.
Definitely.
I don't think I'm going to do much more to this, but you want to keep as much darks as possible. I will obviously take a photo of this so you can see how it looks. But it's quite nice, isn't it? It gives a really interesting structure, and having that little bit of red at the bottom. Now, unfortunately, I think I don't quite know what I was doing there, because I need just a tiny little bit more white to obliterate that red on the horizon line. I don't quite know why I left that. Or maybe it was very pale. Because sometimes you do need to readjust certain elements of your painting, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to be more aware that that is what is happening, or that you will have to tweak a few things. I could do some really light grey stones on the wall. And then I will finish because we've gone over a little bit. But I'm just going to tweak a few more things before we go. Just light grey bricks on the wall. Bring it forward just where it's catching the light. Don't forget, the more you dilute the paint, the less opaque it will be, so it will never be really fully vibrant if you use a lot of moisture. Put the path up there as well. Bit of tree branch, because I've painted over a lot of the branches that I put in. A little bit of white. Sometimes you don't have to do much at all to make a difference. I think that is done. So burgundy background paper does make the greens pop, which is what we wanted to do. And I kicked the table across and just ruin everything. So yeah, we'll probably use black or grey next week for the badger. I'll decide once I've looked at the reference image again, because obviously I do these reference images nearly a year in advance, so sometimes I might tweak it or go, oh, let's have a think what would work better maybe for the background. And it took me over a week to decide the background colour for this one. I'm just going to darken this side of the path just a little bit more, so it feels like there's a bit of shadow or something going on. So we've got lots of classes coming up as usual this week. We have the drawing class this afternoon, which is a long-tailed tit. Tomorrow morning's pastel class is a tree with strong shadows, and there's a bit of a ruin of a cathedral or something behind it. Thursday afternoon's watercolour class is the Wallace Monument. The Wallace Monument in the evening mist. Friday morning is art history, and we're doing about Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo and Sophonisba Anguissola, so like Italian Renaissance artists. Friday afternoon's watercolour is a Fly Garrick toadstool with an out of focus woodland behind it. Saturday morning is our free paint along class. We do about 6 a year of those, and 11 till 12:30 from the shop Facebook page, and we're doing a watercolour of a snowy cottage in Ireland. Monday morning from Wardington is a barn owl in gouache on grey card. And Monday evening's watercolour is a distant deer in an eerie woodland, lots of cold blues and greys in that. Tuesday afternoon's acrylic class is a mossy bridge over a flowing river, and next Wednesday is our badger, a posing badger. And I'll obviously, when I post the reference, I will put the what card colour I'm using as well. So thank you so much for joining in today. It's been really lovely to have your company. And if you're watching on ArtStream, you know, you can still send us a message with your picture in that you've created, so we can see what you've been doing. So take care, stay safe, have a really good weekend, and whatever you do for the rest of the week. And I will see you soon. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.